So, Tyler.
Yes.
Do you know what this week is?
Valentine's Day?
Well, I guess most women would be glad that you remembered Valentine's Day, but no, there's
How
more.
is that not a wonderful thing? It's Valentine's Day, and I feel like this is a trap.
No. Are there flowers coming?
Yes.
You just thought in your head that you needed to pick up flowers on the way home from work, didn't you?
I plead the fifth.
Uh-huh. So, anyways, no, there's more than that.
It's not your birthday.
Think of this week back in 2018. I know you can do it.
It's not. No, there's no special days.
I think our podcast audience would be very offended to hear that.
Oh, is it the 1 year anniversary?
Yeah, it's our 1 year anniversary. Yes. Well, so for our 1 year anniversary, I picked a movie that has a little bit to do with how we met, because I figured our audience might want to know that.
I mean, it is kind of eerily similar, honestly. It's weird that it's one of those...
It's one of those movies that I hate to admit I relate to every part of. So, the movie I chose was Sleeping with Other People.
Yes.
It's a movie on Netflix.
It's on Netflix. It's one of the movies that we've watched recently for the podcast. It didn't cost us any money, which is nice.
Right. So, I'm Shae.
I'm Tyler.
And this is Cinematically Correct.
Brief synopsis, then.
Brief synopsis.
So the movie is about Jason Sudeikis, who plays a bit of a man whore, and Alison Brie, who is a woman that's a bit obsessed with a guy. They meet in college. They lose their virginities to each other in college, and then they lose track of each other for about 10 years. And they reignite a friendship, and then they wind up back together at the end of the movie.
It's the longest brief synopsis. You know, I hope that maybe in year 2 of the podcast we learn how to do brief synopsis.
That was like 10 seconds. What are you talking about?
Do you ever read the IMDb ones?
Well,
they're like one sentence.
Okay, so is that one better than mine?
Well, I mean, they call Alison Brie's character a serial cheater, which I have serious qualms with, because serial cheater insinuates that she's cheated with multiple men, but in this movie, she has not.
I mean, she does have sex with one guy in particular over and over again. I would say, honestly, that Jason Sudeikis is a serial cheater more than she is in this movie.
I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter either way. They meet because they do the same thing. So, anyway, let's start at the beginning of the movie.
Beginning of the movie, Alison Brie is banging on a college dorm room like a crazy person. Jason Sudeikis interferes so she doesn't get arrested by the RAs and campus security. They hang out, they talk for a while, and then they wind up having sex. And a one-night stand.
Yes, they both lose their virginities.
They lose their virginities to each other.
You made it sound like it was just a bang, but no, the reason that the scene is in there is because they lose their virginities to each other, so they have a connection to each other.
Yes. That is fair, but then it is just a one-night stand, though.
Right, because Alison Brie is actually there to technically have sex with a different person who she's obsessed with, who is a teacher
Romance is not gone from the world.
He's a teacher aide to one of her classes, and she's obsessed with him, and Jason Sudeikis' character is very quick to let her know how boring this man is and how ordinary this man is, which I think is important to know as we get further into the movie, but that's kind of how the movie is set up. So you see her obsessed with somebody, but she ends up sleeping with Jason Sudeikis. And then they cut to, I think it's 10 years later.
10 years later, I think it's something like 2002 in there. Jason Sudeikis' character is chasing a woman down the street, which we find out is his girlfriend or quasi-girlfriend, I guess.
Right.
And he doesn't approach that the best way. He may be right in their argument, but he's kind of a dick.
Right.
He says
crazy.
He says that you said it was casual because you thought that's what I wanted to hear, and he uses her own words against her.
Oh, come on. We all know that guy. We all know him. He's that suave talking man who...
I mean, Jason Sudeikis is on point for this movie. So he's just charming and witty and delightful.
And gorgeous to boot, so he can get away with it. And also happens to be a millionaire. So, in real life and in the movie, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So... But regardless, he is the guy that everybody knows, the guy who's been hurt by somebody before and ends up, not connecting and kind of just using women because he doesn't want to connect and he doesn't want to be hurt. He doesn't want his heart broken again.
Well, he has that one line that's later on in the movie, but it encapsulates who he is as a person, where he says, I've never had sex with someone I wasn't willing to lose. He's essentially just the prototypical guy where he just wanders around sleeping with anyone and everyone.
You said it, not me.
Well, that's just how he is in this movie. I'm not in real life. I'm just assuming for the movie.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then I guess Alison Brie's character, because we also kind of just met her.
Yes, the first scene we see her in is the restaurant scene where she's,
first scene we see her. That's the first time we see her after the 10-year cut.
You're right. So first scene after the 10-year cut, she's in a restaurant with a guy who's her boyfriend, and
Adam Brody, and
she's breaking up with him. And
she's not breaking up with him. Do you misremember the movie now?
I don't misremember the movie. She has a letter, and she's
not breaking up with him. She is telling him that she's cheated on him, and she wants to go to therapy to get better so they can work on it together.
Yeah, but I think in her mind, she does know that it is very possible that it would wind up as a breakup.
But that was not her goal. Her goal was to move forward.
Okay.
With him. She says that to him, and he does not have any interest in anything that she has to say.
Well, no, because he's just hearing that I was cheated on.
Well, first of all, it's miraculous that he heard anything at all because he interrupted her about 17 times.
Well, I mean...
Not that you are unfamiliar with things like that.
I just don't hear you even when I'm listening intently sometimes.
No, because you're listening to other things in your head. We know. But I think his character was entirely in the wrong in that situation.
No, he's not entirely in the wrong. He's the one that was cheated on. She is, I would say, at least 65% at fault for that scene.
How? How do you figure? She was admitting that she has a problem and she wants to get help, and she was being honest and upfront, and she didn't have to tell him at all.
Well, it's still, she did the thing that is causing the problem and is causing him to overreact in such a way.
Because she's struggling.
Well, yes, but at the same time, it's a completely understandable reaction to be hurt by someone saying that they cheated on you.
It's a completely understandable reaction to be hurt. It is not a completely understandable reaction to say things like, you're not an addict, you're just a whore.
Yes, he said things horribly that were over the top and obscene, but he is still the aggrieved party in this. Like, he's still the one that is violated her trust.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I relate to her so much that I think she's probably going through more pain than he's feeling.
Well, he doesn't know that. He doesn't know that she's obsessed with some random guy.
Because he wouldn't listen. She had no chance to explain anything. He just went off in full breakdown mode in public.
I mean, which is understandable, entirely understandable, because he was cheated on, and he even said that you brought me to public so I wouldn't make a scene.
Note to self, don't ever make any mistakes ever in life, because Tyler will hold you accountable and roast you at the stake.
Well, for certain mistakes, yes. Child murder, genocide, cheating on me, I'm going to take that personally.
Duly noted.
Yeah. No, I disagree with you fundamentally on that scene.
That's because Tyler has never had anything bad ever happen in his life.
Yep, never. Nothing bad happened to me.
I know. We've gone through this.
So the next is they meet up at the Sexaholics or the Sexual Addicts Anonymous meeting.
Okay, by they, you mean Alison Brie's character and Jason Sudeikis' character.
Alison Brie and Jason Sudeikis' character meet up again after 10 years at Sexaholics Anonymous, or I don't know what the
I don't know what you
is.
call it. But what you forgot to mention is that right after the restaurant scene, you see Alison Brie texting an unknown person at this point in the bathroom to a blank text thread. Yes. And it's very obviously something she doesn't want to do, but also wants to do. An addiction, clearly.
So I've never really had that experience where I don't think I've ever deleted someone's text messages.
Oh, I have. Most certainly. But anyways, she does that, and you kind of know right then and there that she's texting the guy she's sleeping with. I mean, I mean, unless I just intuit it because I know I've been there, but... I
mean, I did kind of get that. That's the person that she was reaching out to.
Right. And so you see her in the Sex Addicts Anonymous whatever meeting, and she's texting that person and clearly not paying attention to the meeting and very interested in what she's texting.
The conversation.
Yes, but this is where she reconnects with Jason Sudeikis.
Right. And Jason Sudeikis is perfect when he hits on her at the meeting. So she walks out and then he says all the gin joints in all the world and just perfect one-liners to come back for all the things that she has to say.
Right, except for the end where he's like, find me on Facebook. Well, that's a weird thing to say out loud.
Well, yeah, but other than that, he was fantastic in that conversation. Like, I wanted to give him my number. Like, he's fantastic.
You have a lot of weird man crushes on this podcast.
He was just so charming. Like,
is he better than Tom Brady?
He's more charming than Tom Brady.
Whoa.
Tom Brady is a better person.
I mean, do we know that?
I'm fairly
Tom
convinced.
Brady's a better person than Jason Sudeikis? Are we willing to go to bat for that?
I will die on that hill, yes.
All right. I think I'm going to have to put a poll up now. What do you guys think? Who's a better person, Tom Brady or Jason Sudeikis? I promise you, because our audience is not all in New England, you are going to lose this battle, but you are dying on that hill.
Yep,
so.
no, they're wrong, and I will maintain that. So this is the start of their kind of odd friendship, because it's not really, it's a friendship with that sexual tension aspect of it, because they have to come up with a code word.
And you've never had a friendship with sexual tension?
Never that I needed a code word, no.
I mean, I don't think I've ever actually needed a code word, but we also always knew that when you're talking to the person, I better not say that thing I'm thinking because that crosses the line. I got to keep that one in check. Like,
I mean, I have had that kind of stuff where you say something and you kind of have to guard what you say.
Right, so it's the same thing. It's just they played it up a little bit more.
I mean, I suppose that's fair. That image that she conjured with the safe word or the code word, no thank you.
Well, you can't just say that. They may not have seen the movie.
Dick in a mousetrap, and that just, no. On a fundamental level, no.
Now we're going to have to rate this.
What, NC-17 or whatever it is?
Or whatever the podcast version of that is.
Explicit.
Yes.
We're just explicit.
Yeah.
Sorry. Well, I think that was a doomed endeavor from the start for this movie. Honestly, because it was kind of crude throughout the movie, but it's also endearing. So it's an endearing crude.
Yeah, and don't let the title fool you. It is about sleeping with other people, but it's very much focused on their relationship, and it's very much a rom-com.
It's a rom-com. It's very similar, in my opinion, to When Harry Met Sally, with the whole men and women can't be friends, but they are friends. And
yes, and the director, Leslie Headland, actually compares it to that herself.
Okay,
so
well, then I'm not crazy.
You're not crazy. So that is intentional. So anyways, after
they meet up,
I don't really know where to go from here because...
Well, this is when we meet Adam Scott. Or Adam Scott's character, which is the person that she's obsessed with. And just very much obsessed with... She meets him at his office, and then they have sex, and then he very much has all of the control in that relationship, which I, for the life of me, can't understand.
So you've never been with a narcissist before?
No, Adam Scott is just... I don't get it in that context.
You don't get what?
The appeal
of Adam Scott. He's not supposed to have appeal.
Well, no, in this whole movie, I was just missing that whole piece of it, and he very clearly has the control over it, but I don't understand it. So no, I have not been around a narcissist.
Okay, well, so I have very much been Lainey to a T, basically. So Alison Brie's character, Lainey, I don't know if we've mentioned her name previously, but I've very much been her. And Adam Scott's character represents a part of my life that I remember really well. And what Lainey's going through with Adam Scott is something I think a lot of people probably can relate to, but they don't talk about really in any pop culture that I can think of.
It's basically a biography accidentally of your life.
Thank you so much. Well, I did find an interesting thing they said about Lainey's obsession with Adam Scott's character, and this is from the director, and it says, "For me, Lainey is a character with very low self-worth. That's at the heart of her character. She puts her own value in the hands of someone else and waits for permission to love herself."
I do think that's fair, because he does give her a negative self-worth throughout the whole movie.
Right.
And it's just a toxic, obsessive relationship on her part, and on his part, he disregards her feelings altogether.
Right. And then it says she's matured in other places in her life, but not romantically, and she's just holding her breath for this guy to come around and choose her. She's blinded by it. She doesn't see him as an asshole because his character is at his most vulnerable when he's with Lainey. And I think that's something that you need to remember when you're looking at Adam Scott's character, is that he's different with her than he is with everybody else. And although she can see all the horrible things he's doing, he is always better to her than he is to everyone else. So he's a jerk to her, but he's a complete dick to everyone else kind of thing. So she relates that as he must care about me. When really, I think Sudeikis' character puts it better later on in the movie when he says, "You're like the best drug at the hottest party." He needs to decide, does he want to take a hit or pass or something like that. But it's basically like she's his drug, and he...
Well, he's also getting something out of this because clearly he draws her back in all of the time.
Well, of course he's getting something out of this. He's getting attention.
Right.
He's getting that obsession that he needs. He's literally a narcissist. And I looked up other movies that had narcissists in them because I really couldn't think of another movie that really portrayed narcissism in the way that this movie did.
Did you find any?
So I did, but not the movies I was expecting.
Okay.
So a few of the movies that I have seen that I found were The Other Woman. Have you seen that movie?
I don't think I have, actually.
So it's with 3 women who have all been with the same guy and then the husband.
Okay.
And they all decide to kind of get together and screw him over, basically.
Okay. I can understand that.
Yeah. So that's... I didn't see that one as much as a narcissist as I did as a cheating jerk. But, okay. That's what the internet says. What About Bob?
I don't think I've seen that on either.
You've not seen What About Bob? Everyone's seen What About Bob?
No, I
had to see that in psych class.
Nope.
Okay, well, What About Bob is wonderful. We're adding that to the list. But anyway, okay. And then Anchorman.
Oh, well, Anchorman, he's definitely a narcissist through and through.
You think so? Why do you say that?
He's obsessed with himself to the point of being more characterized than any other character that I think Will Ferrell has ever done.
Okay. I mean, I can see that. So I looked up what the traits of a narcissist were so we could see if Adam Scott's character fit that.
Okay.
So the first trait is an insatiable appetite for the attention of others.
He's got that. Check.
Extreme feelings of jealousy.
I think he does have that because he saw her at the party and wanted to take her home.
And he starts calling her phone when she stops texting him and then says to her in person, "Why aren't you answering my calls?" And she goes, "Because I'm not an asshole."
Right.
So when he starts losing control, will start putting in that effort. Right. So hoping that she'll be like, yes, he's totally into me now, so then he can give away the control again. So I think check. Sorry, this stupid website just put up a pop-up ad. I love pop-up ads. An expectation of special treatment.
Yeah, I think he does. I think he has an entitlement to him that he deserves everything because he's a doctor.
Right, and he expects that she's going to do this with him, but no one else.
Well, I also think that he just has that with everyone. He has just that air of, my life needs to go exactly how it's supposed to go.
Well, to go along with that, exaggerating achievements, talents, and importance.
Yep, no, that's I think that goes right in the column.
Yep, extreme sensitivity and tendency to be easily hurt and to feel rejected with little provocation.
I mean, in that fight scene, he takes it personally, and then he understands, and then he still is he's still seething when he figures it out.
Right, and he feels rejected by her.
Yeah. Very
easily.
Yes, he does.
Difficulty maintaining healthful relationships.
Yeah, check.
Obviously, check. Fantasizing about their own intelligence, success, power, and appearance.
Yeah, I think he does.
Yep. A lack of empathy or ability to understand and share the feelings of others, and a tendency to disregard others' feelings.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
A belief that only certain people can understand their uniqueness.
Probably.
Mm-hmm. Let me just see if there's any others that really kind of... expectations that others will agree with them and go along with whatever they want.
Yeah, probably.
And then responding to criticism with anger, humiliation, and shame.
I mean, yeah. No, it's every box, basically.
Right. Every box is basically checked for him. So I think this is one of the few movies where I see the example of a narcissist just play out in like the most black and white form. But nowhere do I see those words attributed to this movie.
I mean, now that you said it, Anchorman to me is the biggest narcissist that I've ever seen on film. But
I think of narcissists as being smarter. as being more manipulative emotionally and having the ability to understand emotional landscapes so that you can manipulate someone to do what you want. I don't think Anchorman has that ability.
Well, darling, you're forgetting that narcissists can be dumb.
I disagree with that. I don't think to be a narcissist... You can
have a high opinion of yourself and be obsessed with your own self-image and all of those things that you just said and be a dumb person.
Well, right, but then nobody would suffer from narcissistic abuse syndrome, which is what this movie is dealing with. Because if you don't have the intellectual ability to manipulate...
No, in this case, yes, he's a high-functioning, highly intelligent narcissist, which makes it a little bit more malicious. Whereas Anchorman, it's kind of just he's a bumbling idiot that thinks highly of himself. So this, he does more direct harm to other people.
I just think that there's a difference between extremely confident and narcissistic.
I mean, that's fair.
But that's just me. But anyways, so... that's kind of the relationship with Adam Scott, and I think it's really important to remember that she is suffering from what they call online narcissistic abuse syndrome. Right. Because I think that really kind of gives you a way to sympathize with the character. Because a lot of the critics I'm seeing online that don't like this movie don't like the fact... Yeah, they don't like the fact that it's basically glorifying cheating.
I don't think that at all. I mean, I very clearly felt bad for her. I mean, in a lot of scenes. She has the panic attack in the park when she sees him. And then Jason Sudeikis' character calms her down, which was very nice. I mean, I wish I had that ability.
Yes.
Just a calming presence for everyone. That'd be awesome.
Right. And I mean, I feel like her character arc is huge in this movie because she was able to break away from that toxic relationship, but it took a very long time. And I think that also is what separates this movie from other movies in the friendship category.
Well, I don't know how anyone can not identify or feel bad for her when she goes to the party and she sees the wife with the baby or the pregnant belly, and she's just like, that killed you. Like, just...
that kills your soul. But I think that in our culture, the minute you've cheated on someone...
you've lost the high ground and you are the bad person.
Yes. And I think that is a hard thing for people to understand, that there are extenuating circumstances and there are... people that are being so unbelievably controlled emotionally that...
Are you trying to tell me something?
Ha ha ha. But I'm just saying, I think that it's a really good spotlight on people that have gone through that and showing them in a way that you can sympathize with them and understand them rather than making them look like the devil.
Right. So I want to touch back to the friendship that they have. So they are really good friends, and I feel like that's very similar to how we met.
You feel like, or it is? I'm just wondering. Are you confused about how we met? Was that what we're getting at?
I'm not confused.
Do you want me to explain it to you?
No, we met through mutual friends. I was helping one of your friends move in the middle of winter in like 3 feet of snow.
Into my home.
Into your house, your roommate. 3 feet of snow. Miserable experience.
I love how you really want to get it out there that it was 3 feet of snow.
I was waist deep standing outside in the snow.
Oh. Should you also mention that you're like Amazon?
Amazon? I'm 6'2".
Yeah, I mean, I'm 5'1", so to me, you're
okay, well,
in outer space.
So we met through mutual friends, I helped move, then we were just kind of casual friends for a while there.
Yes,
and then
we were.
We became much better friends, and then we started dating.
Yes, I suddenly became your type.
Oh my god, that happened.
Yep, it did, yeah.
So I wanted to talk about, did you know there's a deleted scene?
I did not.
Yeah. There's a scene where they're at an orgasm meditation seminar.
So like tantric or something?
Well, I don't know. It was like a partners thing. It was weird, but
partners orgasms?
Like, yeah, I don't know how else to explain it.
You look so uncomfortable right now. I want to ask so many more questions to see how red I can get your face.
He was with a couple. It was not Alison Brie's character. It was some other random girl.
And who was he?
Jason Sudeikis.
Uh-huh.
And I just found it the scene itself is very funny because he's saying to the teacher of the class, "Oh, you're doing it wrong. I had better technique than you do at prom." And he's like, blah, blah, blah. And then he finally storms up and leaves. And before he leaves, he's like, "Can I just show everyone how to do that? show you how to do it, and he does, and that's the scene.
Okay, I'm going to have to watch that scene.
So I wanted to talk about that. I have a Tyler's History Minute tied to that.
Tyler's History Minute.
Well, okay, go for it.
Do you know the history of the vibrator?
I don't, and I don't want to ask. Okay. Oh, boy.
So, back in the 1900s, women would have hysteria, quote unquote, and the only solution was to have an orgasm. And so doctors would have to go around and give women orgasms. And so...
how exactly?
Manually.
Okay. So random strangers had to
a doctor,
a
medical professional would get up in there.
Yeah, but at the time, it was all men, right?
Just all male doctors, yes. And go around to house after house after house to cure all these women of hysteria. And one of the doctors, hand cramped up. So he's like, there has to be a better way to do this. So he made a machine that would do it for him. I
feel wrong even knowing that information. I feel gross.
This is the only history minute I could pull for this movie. There was no other history minute.
I mean, guys, do you think it would have been better if you just didn't give a history minute? Because, I mean, did anyone need to know this, really?
It's educational.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, but I will say it does tie to another scene in this movie where Jason Sudeikis teaches Alison Brie how to pleasure herself with a bottle.
How to take care of a necessary bodily function on her own, and he uses a bottle to demonstrate.
Right. Yes. So, I mean, okay, you connected it, I guess.
I think Jason Sudeikis' character would have been a fantastic doctor back in the day.
So what you're saying is he would have been fantastic at relieving women of hysteria, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I think you have a crush on Jason Sudeikis, and it's really weird because you're, like, morphing it into, like, he'd be good for women, but you're a man, so I'm having a lot of confusing feelings right now. I don't know how I feel. Jason Sudeikis, like, let us know if you want to, like, help us figure this out. I mean, he's only in New York. Do you want to, like,
Great.
Take a field trip? I don't know.
Well, thank you for that. No.
You're welcome.
I mean, we've also talked this whole podcast without mentioning the his two friends, the married couple.
Okay, so you want to talk about them?
They're fantastic. They're the best characters
I can't
ever.
say the actor's last name. So Xander, which is the husband, is played by Jason Matzoukis, and the wife is played by Andrea Savage, and her name is Naomi. And
they just have great back and forth. They're like the best married couple ever.
They are. And I think Jason has a cult following on Reddit from what I saw. So he's apparently... I've never seen him in another movie. So I don't know if you have, but...
I've seen him in a couple things. He's on Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Okay, I've seen, 2 episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
1 or 2 episodes, yeah.
Do you want me to really have a...
He's been in a couple other things. I've seen him in other things, but he's not my cup of tea.
He was hilarious in this movie.
Fantastic in this movie. Fantastic. This is my favorite.
My love is conditional!
My love is conditional! Or why don't we do drugs anymore?
No, that was...
The wife.
That was the wife, yes. That was Naomi, and she's wonderful.
Or I'm going to take your something virginity. And she's like, oh no, it's already done. Just not you. Back and forth.
Lovely. Yes. Okay. So we've really put this into NC-17. So
if you guys are explicit. We're going to have to mark it explicit.
Yeah. If you guys are listening in the car with children, I am so sorry.
I feel that this movie necessitates being explicit just because it is kind of that kind of movie. It is. So, no, but they're fantastic. Married life goals.
Yes, I mean, that will be us. Although, in the movie, they did say that the best married couple was Jason Sudeikis and Alison Brie, even though they weren't married.
Well, that's the same kind of couple, though. They're talking about wildly inappropriate things, and still...
Which is, I mean, a common couple, I feel.
Well, I don't think most couples do that. I mean, we do that, obviously, but I don't know if everyone else does.
Great, now your mom's going to listen to this episode, and she's going to be like, what did I do?
We have wild tangents sometimes. We go down the rabbit hole. Yeah. That's not a metaphor. Just
speak for yourself. And ew, great. That's only for Shout Out Saturdays. We're not supposed to be talking about that stuff on the podcast.
Okay.
Anyways, so do we move on to the end of the movie, or did you have a few more things?
I think that's basically everything. they get married at the end, and it's a happy ending. Other than that, we do Audience Ask, I think.
Right. But before we get to Audience Ask, I did, because we're in a new year, I'm trying to be better about letting you guys know about podcasts that we've been listening to lately.
Okay.
And because I like movies, I've been listening to a podcast called Movie Geek and Proud, so I want you guys to hear a little bit about them.
Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Sean.
And we are
Movie Geek and Proud,
a movie podcast where two gay movie geeks review current and older movies of all genres, good and bad. We also pick titles and share our opinions on films that are either not well known or guilty pleasures, but we are proud of our taste and encourage all other movie geeks to do the same.
And it's not just movie reviews on our show. We play games, trivia, movie drafts, we have guests come on, and even the occasional skit.
You can listen to our show on your favorite podcast apps, including SoundCloud, Podbean, and iTunes. You can also follow us on Twitter at MGNP Podcasts. And remember, every movie has at least one fan.
You're so cheesy.
What? How's that cheesy?
And every movie does not have at least one fan.
I say it does, and you can't prove it doesn't.
You can't prove it does.
Yes, I can. That's why we're doing this show. It's like every time you want to start with me, I don't understand.
No, you
yes,
can't.
You can. I'm telling you, they always have to do.
You always do this.
Movie Geek and Proud, a new episode every Wednesday.
So now that we've let you guys in on one of our podcasts we're listening to, it should be a different podcast every week, but I do have a habit of listening.
Full disclosure, it's entirely Shae that listens to the podcast. Yes. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but the only podcast I do is this one,
yes.
Or listen to at any association. Only this podcast.
Yes, but I will admit I have habits of getting addicted and listening to the same podcast over and over again. So there may be repeats, and I'm sorry, but also not sorry. So moving on to Audience Asks. This movie is not popular.
Which I don't understand. It was a lighthearted, funny, endearing movie.
Right. But, so we only have one Audience Ask. So.
Okay.
Audience Asks.
The Repodcasting podcast said to us, we talk about this movie on an upcoming episode. My question is, does this feel like a whole subgenre? People being just friends or best friends, despite obviously having feelings for each other, and ending up together at the end of the movie. Do you have any other examples of it?
I think there are a lot of examples of that. I mean, When Harry Met Sally, we already talked about that. This one, I mean, there's like the...
Okay, but wait a minute. When
Friends
Harry
with
Met
Benefits.
Sally, though, stop.
Okay.
When Harry Met Sally, they weren't friends.
They were definitely friends for the majority of the movie.
Frenemies?
No, they were definitely friends. They were thick as thieves in that movie. I'm going to disagree with you on that. They were friends.
Well, they disliked each other at first, for sure.
Yes, well, she definitely hated him.
Well, right. And then they became kind of friends.
They were very good friends by the end of the movie, and then he admitted the whole love for each other thing, and then it...
But boys and girls can't be friends.
Men and women, yes.
Okay. So, I mean, whatever. So, but...
There's that. There's...
No strings attached.
No strings attached. Friends with benefits.
Just friends.
Just friends. I think there's a subplot in the Valentine's Day movie.
Never seen that movie, and you've seen it, so that concerns me. Did you cheat?
No, it's basically... It's Love Actually, but for Valentine's Day.
Oh, I love Love Actually.
So you might actually like that movie, because it's basically that, but for Valentine's Day with different people.
Interesting. Okay, well, haven't seen it, but I don't know if I find this movie fitting into that subgenre.
Well, it definitely fits in the genre with When Harry Met Sally. They're basically the same movie.
I mean, it does, but I think the difference is that in those movies, they're friends, and they turn into more than friends. Not because there's anything holding them back, but just because, you know, either one or the other said they weren't attracted, or they were, I don't know, there's a million and one reasons, but it's not because somebody's holding back one of the other people. And I think that adds a different element to this movie.
I think they were both holding each other back honestly, because he definitely had his own issues, but she had her issues.
We know nothing about those things.
Nothing at all.
No, dating without dating does not happen in our lives.
And it's recorded again for posterity. I think that's the third or fourth time you've mentioned that. Great.
No worries. I've got your back. I've always got to let people know the real deal.
So,
I think
that's done.
That's the movie. Wonderful. So we should probably do some ratings.
We should do the ratings. Before we do ratings, I do want to say that everyone should be able to beat Adam Scott in a fight. I'm sorry.
Why? Is this a male thing? Like, you got to get that out there? I
do kind of feel like that does need to be mentioned, that I'm embarrassed for Jason Sudeikis losing a fight to Adam Scott.
I mean, I think the whole point of it was that Jason Sudeikis then calls Alison Brie to announce his love, and they're yelling through the police station. It's just so romantic, grand gesture. I love every second of it.
That's exactly the reason, but he still lost a fight to Adam Scott.
I mean, but lose that fight to have that romantic gesture. I'm in for it.
Win the fight and have that conversation.
Because if he wins the fight, then he just looks like a jerk.
No.
He looks like a vulnerable, beaten down man if he doesn't win the fight.
God, no, I disagree. Regardless, ratings. Reviews and ratings.
Right.
Reviews.
Okay, you want to start?
I feel like I always go first. Why do I always go first?
Well, fine. It was my movie, so
yes.
I'll go first. I give it a 9.
Of course you do. I'm going to give it...
what do you mean, of course I do?
Of course you do. You rate this higher than half the movies, all of the movies we watch, basically.
Because it's my life. Somebody wrote a story about my life that I don't know who you are, how you know me, but hello. Nice to meet you. Leslie Headland.
7.75.
You just rated our relationship a 7.75?
I did not rate our relationship a 7.75. I rated this movie a 7.75.
But this movie is
they're separate. They are separate, distinct things.
What? I just said it was a biography of my life, and then you just said... rated our... No, I get it. I get it. I'm going to put a 7.5 above our bed.
No,
it's just 7.5.
No, it's a 7.75 for the movie. Relationship separated.
Christmas Ornament for 2019.
God.
7.5.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right.
So, anyways, that's it for this movie. Next week's movie.
Next week's movie is...
Your choice.
My choice.
And it's another Netflix movie.
It is another Netflix movie. It's Bandersnatch, or Black Mirror Bandersnatch.
Right. And we're going to do it a little bit different.
Yes.
So, next week's movie, we are watching separately.
Yes, we're watching separately because it's a bit of a choose-your-own-adventure type movie.
It's a bit of?
What is it? It's a choose-your-own-adventure movie where you may be able to get different endings.
Right. So, basically what we're going to do is we're going to watch it separately, and then we're going to come together and see if we got anything different, and we're going to try really hard to document all the choices we make to see why we may have diverged.
Okay. Yeah, basically. That's the plan anyway.
That's the plan. We don't know how it's going to work out because we haven't seen the movie yet, but we shall see. So, anyways, if you guys want to talk to us before next week,
or anytime, really. We don't sleep.
You're not on social media, but I will be on Twitter and Instagram at CinematicallyC, and you can find me on Facebook at Cinematically Correct, and there's also a listeners group.
Facebook.
Hold on, I'm getting there. There's also a listeners group, Cinematically Correct's listener group, and that's where you'll find Tyler. He does Tyler's Trivia Tuesday, and he does comment back to comments, so if you're looking to talk to him, that's the only place you're going to find him, so join the listeners group, I'm telling you.
We do a shout-out Saturday on there as well.
We do shout-out Saturday. We miss it sometimes because we're not so great at being on Saturday nights, but we're doing our best to keep that one going. And I think that's everywhere. Oh, if you want to email us, cinematicallycorrect@gmail.com. We respond pretty much right away because nobody talks to us. We're lonely.
Thanks to Jake at Athos Music
for our intro and outro music, and we will see you next week for Bandersnatch.